When it comes to fighting cybercrime, it's hard for anyone to do it alone, even cybersecurity firms. That's why cybersecurity companies, the police, universities, and others will often pull their resources together to help everyone have the best chance of fending off cyber attacks. But how does this work? I'm Danny Palmer. This is ZDNet Security Update, and with me to talk about the collaboration in the fight against cybercrime is Jaya Baloo, Chief Information Security Officer at Avast. Thanks for joining me, Jaya. So first of all, what's the scope of the cyber threats we're dealing with here? Because there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, we are looking from all different types of attacks done from a range of cyber actors. So we're talking about, simple ransomware attacks to state-sponsored malware to very organized cyber criminal activity. And you hear it, they're done by individuals, they're done by nation states, and they're also done by criminal actors.
So with all these different parties all attacking businesses around the world, I suppose it's definitely helpful for the cybersecurity industry and others to collaborate together to combat this threat, because anyone doing it on their own might find it rather difficult.
It's actually the only way to work. There's no good intel that you can garner on your own if it's not also enriched and supported by a wide variety of collaborative partners. So even when you think you've got something unique, the best way to do it is to test that hypothesis and to share it with someone and see if they have seen something similar. And good threat intelligence means that you're looking for threats that would affect you, but also people like you and businesses like yours. And then only the wider set of actions and things that are happening out there. So it really requires us to share.
And Avast is involved in one of these processes. Can you tell us a bit about it, please?
So one of the partners we have is actually Shadow Server. We've been cooperating with them for a very long time, actually pretty much, since they started up. And we've been working together to share samples of malware and share intelligence activity, but it's very much collaborative. They also give us information that they've garnered throughout the internet. So this means that we have a very strong information sharing alliance.
And how important is that information sharing? Are there any sort of examples you can provide of how this has been helpful in trying to either protect organizations from cyber attacks or even take the fight to cybercrime?
So, what we do specifically is we're partnering with Shadow Server for antivirus testing and malware exchange. And like I said, we've been doing that for a very long time. We basically reciprocally trade newly detected stuff, malware binaries. And that means that Shadow Server can then not just help us with the stuff that they detect, but everyone else globally that they partner with. So they have a big global malware exchange programs, which has, people who are in the industry and vetted vendors and researchers to take all of this large volume of new malware sample, which improves everybody's antivirus detection capability and helps us thwart the cyber criminals and other actors. It helps us actually help millions, hundreds of millions of our own customers and of everybody else's as well.
It must be really important to be able to collaborate on analyzing new forms of malware, because there's new forms of malware appearing every single day. Cybercriminals are always evolving it to help it to become more effective. And in many cases, they're trying to make it so it can't be detected at all. So it sounds like it's really important to have organizations come together to work on this, because if everyone was doing it disparately, it wouldn't be as effective at all.
Not at all. Exactly. So the idea is that, we want to help, not only help others, but this reciprocal basis helps other people also help us. So it's very much a symbiotic relationship that we have with the larger security industry. It's the only way to survive and holistically protect yourself.
So what are some of the ways in which Avast has contributed to this scheme?
Well, I mean, to the scheme of collaboration, what we do is we share those samples, like I mentioned. And what we know that happens is when we give these things to Shadow Server, they then help by providing this information to different law enforcement folks, but also these vetted vendors and security partners. And what we know is then that they actually stop these cyber criminal campaigns and these state actor campaigns. They have, for example, sinkholes that they provide. They work on actually taking down botnets, and they do that with the thousands of samples from the different AV vendors and from us. You know, one example we know that Shadow Server helped on was the Mirai botnet, for example, and the Drydex botnet. So the Mirai botnet, we were just talking about IoT, Danny. This is a perfect example of something that we absolutely don't want to see out there. And specifically on the Deutsche Telekom modem case that involved, you know, kind of, yeah, hijacking IoT devices from Deutsche Telekom. This was the type of campaign that Shadow Server is then having the capability to stop based on our information.
So with how cyber attackers are constantly evolving how they conduct their campaigns, how is the collaboration against these attacks moving to adapt when this world is so fast moving?
You know, to be very honest, there's no real silver bullet for cybersecurity, with the exception of speed of detection and ability to do remediation just as quickly. So if you take a look at that, the speed of remediation or your ability to detect something initially depends on how large your scope of visibility is. And Avast right now, because we have over 400 million users worldwide, what I can tell you is that we block over 1.5 million attacks on those 400 million, plus users a day. So that is actually, that's not a day. That sounds like insane. That's a month. Excuse me. So it's 1.5 million attacks a month, not a day. One day it'll be a day, but for now, it's in a month. And that means that that speed of detection is relatively high because you get to see so much, and then you can actually do something about it relatively quickly. And what you need to have is that force of community supporting us, that we're not just reliant even then on only those endpoints that we see, but even more. So Shadow Server is integral to that formula.
So what can businesses learn from this approach? Because they need to protect themselves from cyber attacks as well, but sometimes it might be difficult for individual businesses, particularly smaller ones, to monitor all this activity. So what lessons can they try and take away from all of this to help themselves?
Well, I think this is a really good point. I mean, I don't think that there is a very easy way for businesses to help themselves. And actually, what we wanted to do was try to find an indirect mechanism that would actually blanket cover everyone. This is why this year we donated, $500,000 to the Shadow Server Foundation, because I actually believe that by getting rid of the bad guys, we're actually helping defend everybody else. So that 500,000 was the largest single donation to Shadow Server because we so believe in the work that they're doing to make the internet just a safer place for all. And this will protect all of those hundreds of millions of people, not just our customers, but everybody else out there. And for those businesses to directly do something, it's still about getting the not so sexy basics right. So it's still about making sure you have your updates up to scratch. So update everything on time. It's the easiest, most basic thing that is not so sexy or fun to do, but basic thing that everyone needs to do. Upgrade stuff where possible. Even those Sonos players, upgrade when you can. Use a VPN when you're in areas that are a little bit suspect. Try to use an antivirus. Pick one. There's a lot of them out there that are really good. And do some of that basic stuff. Just get a grip over what it is you're doing. Make sure you understand your own network and your data, and then take small steps, because I really believe that when it comes to cybersecurity, we should be using the Pareto principle. Doing 20% of the effort for 80% of the result. So those little basics go a long way.
Thanks, Jaya. That was really useful, and hopefully anyone watching this will take that on board. And if they haven't done those basics already, we'll apply them to their organization. And for more on how you can protect your organization from cyber attacks, there's a whole bunch of ZDNet Security Update videos in the archives. And of course, there's lots of articles and features on ZDNet. Thank you for watching.